Hello, we're on number 8 now, and I wrote my name 2 different ways on the last one, and when I reviewed that, I thought you can't see that. So I've made it quite large here. In fact, my name is so long that it could not fit across this folder. I'm hoping you can see this. So Tamara L. Hempstead, that's owned by the government and seen as a commodity, is always, every letter of my name is in capital letters. Any legal document you ever do, anything with banking, anything with money, because like I said, you are stock. The government owns you as stock by your social security number. Whether you're common stock or a high level of stock is dependent on the wealth you were born into. And I excuse our cooler going off. Andrew just made a face and it picks that up, I know, on film. So you're just going to have to forgive us for that. The me that signs legal documents is done this way. There's only a capital T, a capital L, and a capital H in my signature. And that's what we used to teach cursive in school. We would teach children to write their name in cursive, so you had a signature that nobody could copy. And quite honestly, none of that matters anymore. It just doesn't matter. They might tell you that yes, it does, but this is how you are seen by your government, is this version. So there are 2 versions of you that exist while you're in the human body. There's the person that you believe you are, which is this Tamara L. Hempstead, and there is the person that the government feels they can do whatever works for them with you, and that's this version of me. So what we're going to talk about a little bit today is this version. How do you exist in a world that's trying to go completely to this and controlling you and having you, as stock, compared to what you came into the world to be and first identified as, which is the unique soul that you are. So today, I spent the morning teaching myself how to play a tune, and I'm going to use this music as an example of what I'm talking about. And I can't remember for sure which video I introduced the concept of that you vibrate. You vibrate, I vibrate, this xylophone vibrates, this table vibrates, everything that you can see, touch, taste, and feel vibrates. Plus then there's vibrations going on in between the space between us. That we, that's why you have microwaves, radio waves, things like that. So you can take my word for it, look it up, whatever you want to do. But everything vibrates at different levels. The level you vibrate at indicates your health. So when you're sick, you are at a low vibration. You're not vibrating as high as you do when you're feeling well. And I think that that's pretty clear to you when you are sick. You just know, we use terms like I'm down in the dumps, I'm feeling really low, whatever. So even depression, low vibration. Happy, feeling good, calm, high vibration. And we've talked about the balance. Trying to stay in divine neutral and going up instead of way over happy, way over sad. That's the goal. So when you were born, and I'm going to say Tammy's signature, only the capital T, capital H, and the capital L on my middle name, I'm born the closest I'm ever going to be to my creator. So I'm born into flesh and blood body. I incorporate my soul with this, I call it my meat suit, and I operate this equipment called a body, which is also run by a thing called a brain, which is really run by my ego. And so the ego, like we've talked about fairly extensively, is part of this world. And that wants to keep you alive and it wants to control you. And that ego is what the all capital letters version of the government wants to control. And that's why they use fear constantly. Fear, worry, stress to keep you controllable. Okay? When you're born, you come into the world, and I'm going to make some vibration here. And whoops, if I can't, I'm over a hole. That doesn't help. Maybe I got to hold this. I hope they can hear this. Over that, it's vibrating. Okay? And I don't know if it picked it up on your thing or not. I'm going to play it one more time. Okay, so there's one form of vibration. I'm gonna make another, and then today, this is what happened to me. I'm trying to teach myself Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on this xylophone, which has numbers. That's how I taught myself, not with the letters, because my brain probably does not work like yours, and I have learned to teach myself things and to do it in a way that works for me. And once I quit doing it the way that works for school systems, I shot up like a rocket. And that didn't take till I was out of high school that I figured that out. So many of my high school teachers, when they saw me my first year as a brand new teacher, I'm sure got a little worried and thought, oh boy, this is not going to be good, that we're going to let her teach kids. But then they found out, she figured out her own way to do this. So when you're born, I'm going to try and play that again, what I played on here, okay? That's what I just played on this little lap harp, okay? And I had to go through and actually put numbers and letters on the wood because I could not look at this chart right there and look at those tiny numbers and letters and equate it to here that had nothing on it. So I made it adaptable for me, which is what we should do for students that have special needs and things like that. And sometimes we do things in our world that's not the smartest, and we say, okay, we got to blanket this. We got to do the same for everybody. And I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers right now, especially with teachers. I think one of the worst things we ever did was introduce something called inclusion. Inclusion is great in theory, but it did not work well for all the other children involved. And that's when we take kids with all kinds of needs that are, from mild, moderate to severe and profound, and we say we're going to try and put them all in the classroom together, and we're going to try and make this work, and it's going to benefit everybody, and everyone's going to learn at a higher level, and that just is not true. What is great about inclusion, and I can tell you this because I worked at a grade school that had all the way up to severe and profound students, is that regular kids did learn to accept our severe and profound kids as going to be in the school with them. They never quite ever adjusted to the screaming and yelling. That part always made them nervous. It always caused problems. But I will say they were more accepting to kids with special needs than once I was at another elementary school and they didn't have kids of that caliber. And I know one year I had a child in my room who she was mild, moderate, and kids were very terrible to her at that school. And her mother was going to transfer her over to the other school I'd been out because she had heard they're more accepting. So there's this mixed bag, but the problem isn't incorporating the kids. That's not the problem. The problem is when you try to do one size fits all. And that's what happens when a government tries to control individuals. So what happens is you start out being a baby and you come in and just experiment. You don't know anything. You got your own rhythm, your own way of doing things, and it's all cute and adorable until we got to fit you in the box called school. I'm not against educating people. I think that's the greatest thing we can do. But I think we should really educate people. I got reprimanded many times for going above and beyond with my students and that I shouldn't do that because that's not fair to the kids in the other grade levels across the school district. Your children have an advantage over them and that's not fair. In other words, I was basically told to dummy down my student population. Couldn't do that. Guess who's not teaching anymore? This chick right here. So what we do is instead of saying, well, that's an interesting way of looking at it, that you do that. Or the kid who's, we say, oh, no, that doesn't work for us. That's not going to work, which would be our severe and profound. You've got to not do this, and you can't do that. What you have to do is this. Sound familiar? It's been drilled into your head since you were a teeny tiny kid. She's laughing. Name that tune in 20 seconds or less. You can, because literally it has been taught to you for a reason. You can learn by rhythms. You can learn by all kinds of patterns. Every single thing in your life is a pattern. You might not believe that, but it's true. Everything in your life is a pattern. You've learned to go to the bathroom. We were just talking about toilet training. You've learned how to walk across a room, how to enter a room, how to drive a car, how to pour a glass of water, how to make a bed, how to put your shoes on. Every single thing you've learned that has made you who you are to the point that you're at has been a pattern that's been taught to you, or it might be something you taught yourself, like today I taught myself this pattern this morning. Will I remember it tomorrow? Probably not. So that's what schools kind of do too. They do it over a long period of time, the same pattern, or a short period of time, like my doing that today, that might not stick in there. But you're going to be tested over it, and we're going to put anxiety on you, and we're going to judge whether you're smart or dumb or whatever based on how you do on our man-made scores. Listen, no baby was ever born prepared to take a test on anything. All that baby knows is to come into the world and experience and live and hopefully thrive. But you've been kept from thriving. You've been kept from thriving by constantly being compared to others and comparing yourself to unimaginable, unobtainable kinds of goals. You came here to be you. That's really why you were created, and it's really why you should be here. But until you take a look at the patterns in your life and what has formed you based on those patterns, how you were parented, what did your mother eat before she even had you, what were you fed as you grew, all these things affect the way your brain develops, the way your body develops, the way your ego develops. But here's the thing, and here's really the most important thing I can stress to you. You gotta figure out, what did your spirit come into this body for in the first place? I guarantee you, it was not to be a master test taker. People who are excellent at testing and thrive on it are some of the most unhealthy, unfriendly, non-conforming in a sense of being polite people. They're arrogant usually. They're standoffish. They don't care about other humans. They care about being number one. And I'll tell you what, I think you're all getting to the point of where you're starting to discover that the people who want to be number one might not be the people you necessarily want to be around. Our world is falling apart because of the competition over what we imagine is to be obtained. That's told to you through propaganda, which is coming in all sorts of forms, but especially over electronic devices. It's also on billboards. It's in the music you're listening to. We just had the Golden Globes, I believe. No, the Grammys, where satanic things were on display. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. And you know what? That might scare you, that they're being so satanic and showing all these symbols, showing all these signs. But I'm telling you what, I would rather have the ability to be confronted with someone who is openly satanic as opposed to the person who is, darling, sweetie, sweetie pie, I'm here to help you and rescue you and protect you. That's the scariest satanic person there is, folks. And if you don't get in tune with lining up your ego with your soul, your heart, and your brain, if we don't start lining that up and start questioning what we see and start trusting ourselves at a deep level, trust yourself, then you're going to be toast. I don't want that for you. So we're going to keep working on understanding this. Find your own rhythm. You can't do you wrong. That's what you came here to do. You are perfect. You just have forgotten someone's worked very hard at convincing you that you're not. Let's get back to figuring that out. We're going to keep talking about that. We're done with it for today, though. Bye-bye.